Welcome on in everyone to the Not From Philly podcast. I am Adam from Wales with my partner Justin from Tennessee, and as you can see, we've got another great guest with us today. The Philly Sports Radio Hall of Famer, legend. Some people have called him a loudmouth in the past, and the great Angelo Cataldi. Ange, thanks for coming on with me and Justin again. As you know, we big fans of WIP, and we both still listen today and call, and we obviously big fans of you and what you did. So thanks again for coming on with us.
My pleasure, guys.
Yeah,
glad to be here.
Thank you, Ange. Yeah, so obviously, Ange, a lot has happened in Philly sports the last few weeks and months. The Eagles season is off and rolling. We had to witness another brutal Phillies collapse in the playoffs. The Sixers have just started back up, but we'll start with the Eagles. So how are you feeling about the Eagles this year, Ange? Because I remember last year you were pretty down at the beginning. You were down on Nick Sirianni, and obviously they worked their way back. They won a Super Bowl. They went on a fantastic run, probably one of the best runs you might have ever witnessed in your time here. So how are you feeling about the Eagles and Nick Sirianni? Obviously, it's been a bit of a weird sort of start to the season. They're 5-2, but it hasn't looked pretty at times as they found ways to win. People are comparing this season to 2023. Obviously, we're hoping, that collapse isn't coming. So how are you feeling, Ange?
All right, well, let's start by saying Adam there just proved I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, since I was so down on an Eagles team that won the Super Bowl last year. So what the heck? But I guess it's my nature. I'm kind of down again, even though they're 5-2. And I'll tell you the reason why. There's two major reasons. Reason number one is the play calling. The guy they put in charge, Kevin Patullo, has never done it. And in 7 games, he has not demonstrated, to me at least, that he can do it. So that's a huge problem. You had Kellen Moore last year. He called great games. No one ever was complaining about the play calling when Kellen Moore was there. Why put it back in the hands of a novice? Made no sense to me. They blew it 2 years ago doing that with Brian Johnson. They did it again.
Yeah.
That's my number one thing, the play call. Because you can't have, Adam, you can't have all that talent on offense and struggle offensively, all right? That has to be fixed. And the other thing is also on offense is their offensive line just isn't anywhere close to what it has been. And part of it is that Cam Jurgens gets hurt a lot. Landon Dickerson gets hurt a lot. So those two guys, between the two of them, maybe you get one lineman out of it. They brought Brett Toth back. He's awful.
I know.
Does anyone watch? I mean, Jeff Stoutland's like the greatest offensive line coach. Is he watching Brett Toth? The guy's a revolving door out there. He's terrible. So those are the two big things. And then I'll add the third one only in that I want to cover the defense too. And clearly they got a problem that they lost some really good players and didn't replace them with people as good. And they got a problem rushing the passer to such an extent that they brought back Brandon Graham. And he's 37, 16 years. And your move is to bring back a 2-time Super Bowl champ after he retired? That's smacks of desperation to me.
Yeah, I know everyone is excited about Brandon Graham coming back, and obviously, he couldn't have had a better storybook ending to his career, and he was able to come back for the Super Bowl. He played decent in the Super Bowl, but he got hurt again at the end. So then obviously, everyone knew that he had no choice but to retire. I know he brings good vibes and excitement and energy to the locker room, and maybe he's there as a sort of, last year there was that talk of him healing things, with AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. But, like me personally, I love Brandon Graham. He's a legend. But he's 37 coming off a double sort of injury, really bad injury. And I just can't see that production coming on the field. You'd be a help in the locker room, of course, but I just can't see it.
I've seen this many times, Adam.
Yeah.
When you're this old, he's going to end up getting hurt. In the next month, he's going to get hurt.
Oh God, I know. I hope not. Yeah.
Why not end it at the Super Bowl? I mean, they should have gotten better edge rushers. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Get better edge rushers.
Yeah.
They didn't do it.
What
They're gonna get hurt for it.
What do you feel, Jess, about BG coming back? So I know you've met Brandon when you've gone to Philly, and how do you feel about BG coming back?
BG's one of the nicest human. Yeah, he's one of the nicest human beings you could ever come in contact with. Just a ball of energy and a beam of light, man. But yeah, I'm hoping for the best, but I'm kind of like Angelo. I'm expecting the worst. He had the injury last year. It was the tricep. Then he re-injured it in the Super Bowl, and you could tell during his retirement speech that he was kind of iffy, that he didn't really want to retire. And I know that has to be tough as hell going through that mindset, that decision. Are you going to quit something that you've done for so long? And I agree with you guys. He should have went out on top. But what concerns me is why did Zadarius Smith just up and retire out of nowhere? What brought that on? Because that guy, like when he signed, I got a lot of ball left in me. He plays 2 or 3 games and I'm done.
And he played
something
as well.
Yes,
he was really good. You know,
he was the best edge rusher that we had. After and I think they put their too many eggs in the basket of Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith, hoping they would take a big step forward. And now Nolan's hurt again, and I don't know that Jalen is an every down edge setter, pass rusher type guy. It's tough.
Justin,
it's like Angelo said.
Let me sneak in here, Justin. You hit on a really great point. Zadarius quit, right?
Yeah.
After he said he had a lot left. In my day, when I was a journalist before I was a radio guy, we would not let that story lie until we found out why he did it, because it's almost like an indictment of the defense. If he thought they were going to win another Super Bowl, if he thought they were great, would he retire in the middle of the season?
No.
He was playing well. He was better than most of the guys I had there. There's got to be a reason. Nobody went and got the reason. You got to go to the guy. You got to go to the people around him, and you got to get the story of why a guy, who supposedly was playing well and it was an important part of the team, suddenly quit. Why?
Yep.
I want the answer. They don't give you the answer anymore. They don't seek the story. If it's not in a news release, they don't cover it.
Yep.
Yeah. Go on, Jess.
It just, like Angelo said, it came out of nowhere, and it wasn't even the middle of the season. He played 3 games. It's all he played, and he was just like, "That's it. I'm done."
Yeah.
And it's like Angelo said. If you think this is a team, you sign with this team because you think this is a chance for a team to repeat, to win another Super Bowl, my chance to get a ring, and all that. And if you think that's a chance to get a ring, you don't just up and retire like that, man, out of nowhere. And it's so
that was really strange to experience something like that with a guy coming in, a veteran player, playing really well as well, really contributing, and then just up and retiring, just like it was just I don't understand. But there we go. So speaking of players causing issues, and I'd love to get your thoughts on. I mean, last week he had a fantastic game. AJ Brown, he got his numbers, got his touchdowns. You'd like to think that he was happy with that. You'd like to think he'd have a bit of satisfaction back, but obviously not, because then on Instagram he puts another cryptic post out saying, so they use me not. So I really don't know what to make of AJ Brown, because I mean, I know, like, you've experienced a lot, and you've been through the TO issue with Donovan McNabb back in the day, and I'm sure you've experienced a lot of players, having issues with coaches and other teammates. So, what sort of level of concern is everyone? Because there's always now, whenever something comes out of AJ Brown, it's AJ Brown's going to get traded, and obviously, I think if the Eagles traded AJ Brown tomorrow, we might not win another. I hate saying we might not win another game this year, because that's not, probably, it's not I don't know how stupid I am saying that, but I would be really concerned with not having AJ Brown there every game. You know what I mean? As great as Devontae Smith is the #1 wide receiver. He's shown that, but what is going on with AJ Brown, Ange, from your point of view? What do you see with this situation?
I'll give you the exact number of my level of concern. It's 0. Do you understand? This is where age brings wisdom. When I was on WIP and I had a story like this, I would blow it up because it was fun and it was controversial and people got excited about it. Now I'm not doing that job and I'm just a fan. And I'm going, hold on a minute. This is, look, guys, I've been around a long time. This is the most talented wide receiver the Eagles have ever had. Number one. And I'm worrying because he's doing something stupid on social media? No. Guess what? You're under contract. You're playing fine. You're causing trouble elsewhere. I don't care. I got great leadership there. Jalen Hurts will take care of that. I'm not worried about it. All I'm worried about is when that game is on and that guy is in the clear, he's going to catch the ball. I'm throwing a 50-50 up there. He's going to make the catch. He's going to make the plays. And I'm not touching that. You understand? I am not changing anything with the wide receiving core because it is the number one strength of the team. And because one of the guys, look, if you're waiting for a wide receiver to act normal, you're going to wait a while because most of them are nuts. So ignore it and just use the man's talent. And frankly, throw him the ball more. He's great. Throw him the freaking ball. This should never be a half where he gets one throw and no throws. Throw it to him 4 or 5 times a half, and he's going to make some big plays for you. It doesn't bother me in the least, and I don't care about it. And I just love watching him play on a Sunday or a Thursday or a Monday or whatever day. Yeah. He's great. Let him play.
AJ is a beast, and since the moment he came to the Eagles in 2022, when we traded for him, it was just he made an immediate impact, and it's just unfortunate all this stuff comes out, and obviously, I mean, last week, like you said, with the leadership with Jalen Hurts, Jalen, I mean, that's the best game he's played all year. You know what I mean? Last week, he missed two passes, 3 passes he missed last week, so he had a perfect passer rating. I mean, he was just fantastic. When Jalen has to put that Batman cape on, so to speak, he always delivers. Obviously there's times, it's different situations, like in that Giants game the week before. That game was just a disaster from the first snap to the last. On defense, offense, that was a total team collapse, and that was a tough night because after watching what happened with the Phillies and then having to switch over to the to the Eagles, that was tough, especially for me because there's obviously the time I'm ahead in time here, and in the UK I'm like 6.5 hours ahead of you in America. So when I was watching the Phillies, the game started at 1 a.m. and finished at like 3 a.m., something like that. So then I was lucky because I was so wound up and so angry that night. I told Justin my daughter is only like 8 months old, and she was wide awake that night. She didn't want to sleep, so it was just me and the baby watching the Phillies collapse. And then I turned to the Eagles, and I watched the Eagles and the Giants disaster. So that was a tough night. That was really tough. So looking at the Giants this week, and just you've been pretty hot this week. How are you feeling about the defense, both of you? Because obviously is BG going to make an impact straight away? Are we going to see it? Jahad Campbell looks like he's going to be moving around on the edge a little bit. Nakobe Dean is back. What do you guys think how the defense is going to look against the Giants this week? Because Jackson Dart, the previous game, he ran all over. The Eagles have a problem containing quarterbacks. They can't defend when quarterbacks go off and run in. They miss tackles when it happens. They just can't bring them down. Obviously, there's been a problem getting pressure to the quarterback this year. So how do you guys feel about the defense this weekend with Jackson Dart running around like a crazy guy again?
Justin, you go first.
I love that Nakobe Dean is back. He looked really good last week in his first game back, flying around, just going straight to the point of attack, driving through guys, tackling like you ought to. I think N'Kobe and Cooper DeJean are two of the best tacklers on the team. Like if you're teaching tackling, show Cooper DeJean and Kobe Dean. Those guys drive through you. Like those young guys, Andrew McCuba, I know he's a rookie. He's missed a lot of tackles. We've fussed about that a lot. They need to put him with N'Kobe and Cooper, showing him how to tackle, drive through the point of impact. I think these guys are going to be fired up this week. They came out for that first Giants game, little lackadaisical, I guess you could say, thinking, hey, it's the Giants, they're nothing. We got this short week, all that. We're the defending champs, and they went up there and got their ass
Kelly
whipped.
Green week.
Kelly Green week, but they went up there and got their asses whipped. They didn't get beat by 3. They got whipped at the point of on the line, both sides of the ball. They just got their asses whipped. It wasn't even funny. I was miserable as hell watching that game. So I think there's going to be a little bit of retribution, revenge type. These guys are going to be kind of laser focused this week. And I agree with what Angelo had to say with AJ as far as get him the ball. This guy is a top 3 receiver in the league. It's between him, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase. Those are the top 3 in the league, I believe, when they're at the top of their game. Get him the damn ball. It is a crying shame that those first 2 games, like what Angelo was saying with Patullo, how he was inconsistent with spreading the ball around to your number 1 guy. I mean, like you said, it's a 50-50 ball. This guy's going to get it 90% of the time if it's a 50-50 ball. He's so strong and aggressive. Like that one catch that he had where AJ was rolling out to the right and he threw that ball and he came out and caught that with his hands. His hands are so daggone strong, man.
Yeah.
Get him the ball. Let him eat. But I am kind of aggravated and frustrated with the little cryptic tweets and Instagram posts that come out. That stuff just aggravates me so much because I see a guy like Devontae Smith who is he's quiet. It's a different type. Like AJ is kind of like the 95 percentile of wide receivers, and Devontae's like that other 5% who's just quiet. I'm not saying Devontae doesn't get pissed in meetings and at the NovaCare complex and voice his opinions there. That's fine, but he doesn't go on Instagram and Twitter and all that and voice his opinions and be disruptive like that. It kind of reminds me of Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison was just so quiet, went about his business. He was a workmanlike. Now, I'm not saying Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning didn't have arguments and stuff like that. They didn't, but AJ is just that type. So give him the ball. I'm telling you, the running game is so out of line right now with the injuries and the discombobulation with the offensive line. And I agree with Angelo. Brett Toth is like a turnstile. You have got to do something there, man. It is an utter joke.
They got no choice but to run him out there this week, though, because Cam Jurgens is hurt. I can't see him playing.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough to start with, but I think the Eagles get a little retribution, and I think they win.
Yeah, Adam, I just got to say something here. Why are you booking guests? Justin's fantastic. That's all you need is Justin. The guy knows his stuff.
I do. Yeah.
God, you're very good. Seriously.
That's when I started this podcast, I had to get Justin. I knew he was the guy, and he's been fantastic as my co-host. So yeah.
Here's all I got to add to it. I don't know why I was watching the fourth quarter when the Giants played the Broncos last week, and I can tell you something. I've watched a lot of football. I'm 74 years old. I've never seen a collapse like that. Ever.
No.
Yeah.
Not even the Miracle in the Meadowlands. That was one play.
Yeah.
The Giants gave up no points for 3 quarters. And then with the game on the line, they gave up 33 points. No, Justin is 100% right. The Eagles are going to take care of business without that much difficulty. I can't even see the Giants recovering. They did that earlier in the season against the Cowboys. Almost as bad. No, the Giants have something there. There's definitely the kid quarterback is really good.
Yes.
They've got Scatterboo is really good. They've got something there, but they're not ready, and they're going to get their ass kicked on Sunday. Yeah. They are going to get smoked. All right. The Eagles will beat the Giants on Sunday by more than the Giants beat the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. They're going to blow them out. And then Justin, I'm going to go on. You guys go to Tennessee. There's a guy out there who knows exactly what's going on. Listen to him. He's got it. Got it. That was
He
fantastic, John.
does. He knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
And he's
Well,
great.
let me ask Angelo a question real
Yeah.
quick. I brought this up to Ike and Spike and Jack this week when I called, talking about my frustrations with how AJ's behaving. Okay, AJ is a captain. He has that badge on his jersey.
Uh,
2 years ago, Devontae Smith had that. Last year, for some reason, Devontae was voted out or had the captain's patch taken away. So if you're a captain of the team, should you not conduct yourself in a different manner than this? Like Devontae is conducting himself, in my opinion, how a captain should. He may voice his frustrations and opinions in team meetings and at the NovaCare in practice. But AJ just puts out these cryptic tweets and then he's like, y'all don't know what I mean. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about and stuff like that. Why did you think maybe Devontae had that captain's patch taken away? Because I don't think Devontae had done anything to have it taken away.
Well, I don't think it matters much. The captain of the team is none of them. It's Jalen Hurts. So don't worry about labels, all right? The fact of the matter is, they're different kind of people. Devontae Smith is a quiet guy, very professional, and
Yes.
AJ Brown is selfish. He's about himself over the team, all of which doesn't matter if you can control him. And what I'm telling you guys is, you're in good hands here with Hurts. They will run around and do stupid stuff. AJ will do his stupid stuff. But Jalen will look him in the eye in a moment of truth. And he'll go, we got to make this play. We got to do it. And he'll do it. Or as long as you've got a leader like Jalen Hurts. It's not like that jackass Wentz. If you saw Wentz play on Thursday Night Football, he can't play. Right? That's a bad leader. All right. Most of these guys are bad leaders if you compare them to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, people don't know what they have in him. They will not realize it till he's gone. That you had a guy with all that talent who could run, who could throw, who's a leader, who's smart in the clutch. He right now is covering a multitude of sins being created by the coaching staff. The first touchdown in the game last week, that was a total improvisation. He literally gestured to AJ, run. I'm going to leave you. That wasn't a play call. That was not a play call. The other long passes, look at them. They're either audibles or in the moment. They're, as long as you've got that guy answering to everything, you're in good shape. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. All this stuff. And understand, this is the biggest hypocrite you'll ever be. Because I used to hate this stuff, blow it up for weeks. But when you're a distance from it now, and I don't have to do that job anymore, you go, wow, a lot of that is nothing. As long as this guy makes that catch and gets me the first down, what do I care what he tweeted? Screw it. Whatever it is, it is. I don't care about it. Don't worry about it. Just watch the man play. And what you said is right, Justin. Throw him the damn football. He'll catch it.
It was
throw it to him.
it was good. It was good.
Throw it to him.
Yeah. It was good to see. They needed to ice the game out the end of last week against the Vikings, and it was Jalen and AJ connecting again on that third. I think it was a third down to make the first down, and they connected again. He made a fantastic pass, just floated it over into AJ Brown's hands. And like you said, Angie, like when the moment counts, it's Jalen to AJ or it's Jalen to Devontae. Because Devontae Smith is very much clutch as well. You know, me very much can help ice the game. So
very much.
With Kevin Patullo, I'm still at like a loss of, I don't know what to say about the guy, because it was like that first Dallas game of the season, the first like sort of couple of drives, it looked like a nice mix of balanced offense. They were establishing the run a little bit. They were making quick passes. But then after that, even before the weather delay, before halftime even ended, it just completely like stalled. They were stalling. And I was like, before the season began, I was sort of like hoping Shane Steichen was going to get fired this year. When Daniel Jones was going to be the quarterback, I thought Shane Steichen's getting fired this year. There's no way Daniel Jones is going to go to the Colts and make a difference. And now he's like doing fantastic. So there's no chance we can get Shane Steichen back. And maybe Kellen Moore gets fired by the New Orleans Saints next season. I doubt he'll get fired this year, because he really hasn't got much out there. So yeah, I was sort of hoping maybe one of those guys comes back down the line. Yeah.
The thing that gets me with the offensive coordinator ordeal is they never interviewed anybody. It was just handed to Patullo straight off the bat. I mean, at least interview some people and see what they have to bring to the table. Like maybe they can introduce some different concepts or something that you hadn't thought of or anything. I mean, I know I'm maybe overthinking it, but they just handed it to him. Like, here you go, Kev. You've been the pass game coordinator for so long. Here you go, bud. And I think they should have interviewed more people and probably hired from within outside.
Have you experienced anything like that before, Ange?
Hold on. Guys, this applies to more than just sports. Never hire your friend. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a good way to ruin the job and the friendship. All right?
And
they did it 2 years ago with Brian Johnson. They did it, and it blew up in their face. It's amazing to me that after they went out and got a real offensive coordinator with Kellen Moore, and then Moore gets the head job, they go back and do it again. Do you understand that Kevin Patullo is in football because he's the Bobo of Nick Sirianni? He covers Sirianni's ass every chance he gets. He is as much an yes man for Sirianni as Sirianni is for Roseman and Lurie. Do you understand? He's a yes man. He doesn't know what he's doing. This puts the onus back on Sirianni to oversee the play calling, which he is already on the record saying he's lousy at. It didn't make any sense. It's stupid. And it's going to cost them the season. They're going to end up, you watch, by the end of the year, Patullo will be out, and they'll have to get somebody in here who knows how to call plays.
Yeah, hopefully. What's frustrating, Angelo, is I don't know if you've seen much. You must have seen this much, like over the years. Kevin Patullo has been a part of this offense, this Nick Sirianni's coaching group for about 5 years now, since when he came with Nick Sirianni, I think, at the same time. And, he sat under Shane Steichen, he sat under, Brian Johnson. I know that was a disaster, but he was there. He sat under Kellen Moore last year. He was I think he was the pass game coordinator last year, something like that. And so I was sort of hoping, I wanted to give Kevin Patullo the benefit of the doubt originally when they hired him, because I thought, well, he sat under these offensive coordinators. He must have developed and learned and gained experience. And you know what I mean? So that's what's most frustrating, is that it just looks like he hasn't really gained much or learned much, or was willing to incorporate these different types of offense into his own offense. It just seems very stagnant and stiff, and the formation when they line up at the line of scrimmage, everything is tight and bunched together. They got two tight ends, and it's just they're not spread out a lot and stuff. That's what's most frustrating for me, is that I thought there might be some promise there with him because of all the experience you'd like to think, but it's not there.
It's predictable. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The other team knows what's coming. But the truth is, just because he worked with these other people doesn't mean he knows the job. He wasn't calling plays last year. Kellen Moore was. He wasn't calling plays. If he was that great, that Brian Johnson season that blew up the second half, why didn't they roll him in there then? If they thought he was that good, he's been around with Sirianni since 2009. All right? Tell me, if they thought he was that good, why didn't they use him then? Why did they go out and get Kellen Moore if they thought he was that brilliant? No, they know he's not. It makes no sense. The Eagles don't like bringing in people from the outside, because every once in a while, one of those people tells them what to do. And if there's one thing the owner, Jeff Lurie, or the GM, Howie Roseman, or even now the coach, Nick Sirianni, doesn't want to hear, is somebody's opinion that doesn't coincide directly with theirs. And that's what they try to avoid. And Patullo, I can tell you this right now, he stinks at play calling. he's not ever going to get good at it. You're
No.
not around this long, and then suddenly a light bulb goes up halfway through your first season and you start figuring out how to do it. No, he's one and done. They got to figure out a way. There's only one way. They got to pretty much let Hurts do whatever the hell Hurts thinks he needs to do. Because Hurts knows more about how to run that offense than anybody else in the organization right now. And that's an indictment on them that they don't have a single coach that can work with Hurts and get the most out of what they're doing. He's going to have to do this all year. Go downfield. I'll throw you the ball.
Backyard football all year. So here's something. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but like when Kellen Moore when it was officially announced that he was going to be Saints head coach, it kind of came out that he was wanting to talk to Patullo about being the offensive coordinator. I don't believe that for a second. I believe they kind of put that out there so they could just push Patullo in as offensive coordinator for the Eagles. So we can't risk losing this guy. Kellen Moore wants him. I think that was just kind of put out there, and
100%.
To me, I know y'all may not agree with this right now, but I think a guy that's probably going to be fired here in the next couple of weeks is Mike McDaniel. I think you bring that guy in. He's not a good head coach. It's obvious. We've seen it. But he can call plays. He can design plays. That guy would blow this offense open if we had him next year. Blow it open.
Fine.
It would be very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly believe my dog, I have a dog named Bentley. He could call plays as well as Kevin Patullo, right? Just by putting his paw out,
Well, I mean, Lane Johnson said it himself after the Giants game. We're too predictable. We're too predictable. When you've got a guy who never says anything, who is the ideal leader that I have, who just goes about his job, workmanlike and everything, he's saying we're too predictable right now. Something's wrong.
Yeah. Well, you're in Tennessee, Justin? Are you in Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
I can't imagine how smart you'd be if you actually lived here and got to see this stuff up close. You're unbelievable.
Hey,
seriously, Adam, this guy really knows his stuff. Seriously,
I was up there a few weeks ago for the Broncos game and the Phillies' first game against the Dodgers. I'm never coming back. Phil's had a 3-0 lead, lost. Eagles had a 10-point lead going into the fourth and lost. I ain't coming back.
That was a tough game for Justin.
We don't want you back. I didn't know that. You're a jinx.
I did. I got to meet Rhea at the tailgate, though. The guy I was with, he tailgates across from Rhea. Got to meet Rhea for the second time. Rhea's a wonderful, wonderful person. Love her to death. Got to meet a lot of great people up there, though. But yeah, I don't know that I'm ever coming back to a game because I was up there. I was up there in 23 for the Bills game, and after the Bills game, season went off a freaking cliff after that. If you remember,
here. Stay in Tennessee. We don't need.
Yeah.
You know enough from there. You're following. You know what you're talking about.
So Ange, I want to ask you. Obviously, I remember the last few years before you finished on the radio, you were sort of losing interest in baseball a little bit. You were finding it tough to keep your fandom because it wasn't exciting, and obviously. I think the last couple of years it has got a bit, it has picked up a little bit, but like with the Phillies, Ange, year after year now, they end their season in a very like dramatic, heartbreaking, like painful loss. They've lost in the NLDS now this 2 years in a row in different sort of collapses, both as I don't know which one is worse, the Mets or the Dodgers. I don't know which one ended worse, but how are you feeling, Ange, about the Philly? I read your blog about Rob Thompson the other week, and I know like you're very down on him at the moment, and I think I have been. I've been a big critic of Rob Thompson, and so how you feel? Rob Thompson he's back next year. He has his contract extended. How are you feeling about like the job ahead that Dave Dombrowski has now, and John Middleton and Rob Thompson? Can they find a way to inject some of the youth into the Phillies? Can they make a big off-season move, in the outfield? How are you feeling about the Phillies overall, Ange?
All right. How I'm feeling is very simple. Let's go back to that Thursday night where the Phillies were in a elimination game, playoffs, and the Eagles were in an easy game against the Giants in the middle inning. So I had a whole bunch of people over to my house, and now it's 8:10, and now the football game is starting, and I got all these people rooting for the Phillies, and I say goodbye, and I go upstairs to watch the Eagles, because I know, I swear, guys, I know what's coming. It's just when Thompson's there, expect disaster at any moment because he's a freaking robot. You understand? He's totally programmed before a game on every move because he doesn't have the confidence in the moment to make a decision. So when he put Kerkering in, I went, oh boy, here we go. Luzzato's out. Now Kerkering's in. Disaster is ahead. But I wasn't watching it. I was upstairs watching the Eagles get their asses kicked. so all I heard this unbelievable scream from downstairs when Kerkering airmailed the ball over the catcher's head, which JT's head, and it goes to the backstop. And I just laughed and I went, the game was over when he started doing pitch counts. He's doing pitch counts. Sanchez is his best pitcher now. Let's get him out. We can't keep him in. Oh my God, I'm panicking. He stinks, boys. They will never, ever win anything when Rob Thompson is their manager. And frankly, after the game, I almost called 911 because I thought it was an emergency that the Phillies are showing signs of, medical insanity. They keep doing the same thing and expecting an entirely different result. Do you understand? You blew 4 postseasons with this manager. Oh, let's bring him back for another one. It wasn't his fault. The bunt wasn't his fault. All that stupid stuff that happened to the play, that wasn't his fault. Give me a break. There's a reason why Rob Thompson did not get a managing job till he's 58. Because he's not a manager.
Yeah.
He's a behind-the-scenes guy. And Rob Thompson, people will eventually finally look back on this era and go, man, we had some great teams then, and we didn't win it. And why didn't we win it? And maybe eventually they'll go, well, our manager didn't know what the hell he was doing. He is the Kevin Petula of baseball. Yeah. We got one in each sport now.
Yeah, it's a shame because like Rob Thompson seems like a decent regular season manager, but when it comes to the playoffs, he just makes terrible decisions. Like I when he brought Luzardo in out to the bullpen, I thought, right, finally he's done something. He's done something good.
You knew it.
Luzardo went out there and shoved. He was fantastic, and then they took him out. They took him out to put Kerkering in, and it was just like, no, don't. The game. It wasn't like the Dodgers were. The Dodgers pitching was fantastic, obviously throughout that series as well. Yeah. But their hitters, they didn't do anything either, really. You know what I mean? They got lucky when Duran walked in the run. But the game was there to be won. They could have done it, which is the most frustrating thing. He was there and he messed it up again. Yeah,
he did.
So my thought after it was over, I really did think they would make a change at the manager spot. And I listening to WIP as much as I do, following Jack Fritz as much as I do, I just knew that the guy that they should get would be Bruce Bochy. When the Rangers have kind of moved him aside, man, Bochy he's won 4 World Series all time, 3 with the Giants, 1 a couple of years ago with the Rangers, and I think that would have been something you could shake up the clubhouse, and he would automatically walk in and command respect because he's got 4 rings. And I just think they missed the boat on that deal, man. I really do. But outside the box, this is affecting me down here in Tennessee, and I don't know if you've caught wind of it or even care about it, Angelo. University of Tennessee. University of Tennessee baseball head coach Tony Vitello accepted the job to become the San Francisco Giants manager. First time in history, a college coach without any major league experience whatsoever has taken a job in the majors. What are your thoughts on that?
It's fascinating to me because it's the ultimate dice roll. They don't know if he can do it. They don't. But the Giants clearly like to take chances. They brought in an absolute stumble bump to be their manager 5 years ago, Gabe Kapler.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gabe Kapler was a disaster here. And the Giants went, oh my God, we can get him now. Look, let's get Gabe Kapler in here. And they didn't know that he was just an annoying, strange man who really didn't know what the hell he was doing. No, they got him right in there, and they had a great season. And then it blew up in their face because Gabe Kapler ultimately can't do the job. And look, there's a chance this guy is great. The great coaches, at some point, somebody gave him a chance and they demonstrated they could do it. But the odds are remote. 1 in 10, Jeff. Most likely you will be following a disaster in San Francisco. I hope not. Because, the guy deserved a shot. They went outside the box. I'll give him credit for that, but it probably won't work.
The thing that I take, and like everything I've heard about Coach Vitello, Tennessee was at the bottom of the barrel as far as like the stadium was one of the worst in the SEC, the amenities, everything. Like we were a bottom dweller in the SEC, and within 5 years he had us in the College World Series.
Right.
He's had in his tenure 9 years, he's had 48 guys drafted into the Major League Baseball now. This guy, he knows talent, he sees it, but I don't know how he is like making managerial decisions and stuff like that. But it's like I said, it's outside the box. And from everything I heard, they wanted, I think, Rangers bench coach Todd Hundley, but he turned them down. He didn't want to move to San Francisco. And Coach Vitello's a trailblazer, like I've been in misery. Drew, Andrew, he knows. Man, Drew and Adam, they know I've been raising hell all week, matter and hell.
It's
but
been a tough
what it
week
is.
for my
Jack,
good friend.
actually, Jack Fritz wanted Vitello in Philadelphia.
He did
because Bryce Harper and Vitello are really good friends.
Let me just say, Jack Fritz many years ago was my intern. I never got along with him one day that he was there, and he has been nothing but annoying to me. And I go back to him. Jack Fritz was the jackass who decided we needed to give Trey Turner a standing ovation when he was hitting 230, making 100, 200 million, whatever the hell it was, 300 million. And I went, Jack, did you learn nothing from me? You learned nothing from me. And basically, he saw me as a dinosaur, which in retrospect is not entirely inaccurate. I mean, it's kind of true.
The thing that I like about you with Gabe Kapler, man, you challenged him. Like a lot of times you see these people who they have to do these interviews with the coaches weekly and stuff like that. You challenged him. You didn't back up, and I love that about you. And one thing about Gabe Kapler, I will never trust a man who eats ice cream and spits it out. If you're going to waste good ice cream, hell with you. I ain't got no use for you. If you're going to waste good ice cream, there ain't nothing good about you, man.
I never looked at it that way, but you're right. Definitely. That's what he was. He was a completely annoying presence, and I'm sorry that nowadays in the media, guys, this is another lesson for you. Don't just bow down to these people. Most of them don't know that much about what they're doing. They're in there. They got that pretender syndrome. They don't know. Challenge them.
Yeah.
This is Sirianni. He hasn't made one comment in 5 years here that really in any way illuminated what you were watching. At some point, say to him, do you feel any responsibility to the fans? Do you, at any point, is your whole agenda to kiss the ass of every player in your locker room and your bosses to such an extent you do not care if you constantly insult the fan base that is giving you this job? Right?
Yeah.
Your job as media people is to represent the fans, not to make life easier for yourself by befriending the people you cover. And this is a lesson that no longer is taught and no longer is learned.
Yeah. One of the most frustrating things, obviously, in watching Nick Sirianni press conferences and the press conference a couple of weeks ago with Rob Thompson was it was just, it was all pre-planned answers. They knew what they were going to say. and they just gave nothing to the fans. You know, like the end of the Phillies press conference, you just know they're more, unless they can ship Alec Bohm and figure something out, Nick Castellanos, release him or trade him, they were going to be running it back. You know, maybe they bring up Justin Crawford, and Andrew Painter, I don't know. But to me, it sounds like they're going to run it back and it's just going to be a disaster. And I just know we're going to be sitting there in October if we get to the playoffs. And that top three lineup of Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, if Kyle Schwarber is back, if they do re-sign him, and Bryce Harper, they're going to be cold. They're going to go cold again. And now there's all this stupid really talk about trading Bryce Harper. Like they're not going to trade Bryce Harper. Like that is just crazy. But yeah,
nobody wants that contract. Nobody wants Castellanos' contract, Adam.
No, it's $20 million.
That window, you know, see that window? It's closing. The window is closing, and they had the wrong guy in charge.
Yeah. This was the year. If they were going to do it, this was the year, and they just didn't. They couldn't get it done. Yeah.
A friend of mine down here who does Tennessee sports radio, he's originally from Philadelphia, went to school at the University of Tennessee, met his wife, and he stays here. And he's got his own sports radio thing. His name's Tony Basilio. And his nickname for Castellanos is Castellanos. he can't stand he calls him Castellanos. He can't stand Castellanos, but he's a true Negadelphia. You'd love him, Angelo. He's talked about you from time to time on his show, like where he used to listen to WIP as a kid and everything.
Right.
But he's talked about you and Howard and some of the legends of WIP before, how much he learned from listening to you guys.
Well, I'm happy. That makes me proud because there's not enough criticism in sports radio anymore. It's getting too soft. You know, when a team loses, you do not come on Philadelphia radio the next day and say you're proud of how well they played. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
That will they may think, the media people may think that. The fans haven't changed that much. They're not proud. No. They're pissed. They're in taverns the next day, screaming and yelling at all the people that let them down. And your job as a sports talk show host is to channel that emotion and put it on the airwaves. And nowadays, it's too much excuse making, too much soft stuff. It's just not what it used to be. And I think they need to change it. But right now, the teams literally call. I have been on podcasts, critical podcasts about the Eagles. The Eagles call. Not just the host. They call the boss and say, how are you letting them get away with saying this? Now, what you got to say is, screw you. You stay in your lane. I'll stay in my lane. You don't control what we say, and I don't control what you do. All we do is react to what you do. But there is a lot more influence now that the teams are using through business entanglements or just bullying. And these guys are caving on it. Tell them to go to hell. They can't control you. Freedom of speech, boys. Say what you want. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm glad, like, when I started this podcast, it was just for me and Justin to just get together and rant and rave every week about how we feel. And there are other podcasts out there that sort of do that same thing, because, we got no attachments or links to anything in, to the Eagles or the Phillies. So I'm glad that we can sort of say what we want. And because, like, when the Phillies collapsed, Angelo, I was so, I was angry, but I was also I was very disappointed and just like, oh man, but I was very pissed. I was raving on Twitter throughout the games. And I was just like, get rid of everyone, blow the team up, just so frustrated and pissed off. And I can't believe it happened again. We had to witness another terrible collapse. And I just hope that this year now the Eagles can, they don't have that 2023 collapse again, that they can find a way forward. And I think, like you said, long as we've got Jalen Hurts under center and he's very much, he's very open to doing different things, at the end of the day, he wants to win. His thing now is obviously find a way to win. And that's what they do is, that game that he had last week against the Vikings, he's not going to do that every single week. He's just not that type of quarterback, because it's not going to always lead to winning. That could lead to losing, because it can be a dangerous way to play sometimes. So his philosophy is finding a way to win. And like, as long as we got Jalen, we can trust. Like our friend Corey from Columbus, who's a big caller to WIP, his thing now is if Jalen Hurts is here, then have no fear. Have no fear if Jalen is here. So it's that's what we've got to keep us going.
Very much so. You're right. Justin,
do you guys think that if we make a move at the trade deadline, where do you think it would be most beneficial? Corner, edge rusher, or possibly offensive line? Right now, I mean, offensive line's underrated.
Offensive line is a nightmare right now.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm almost ready to say that, unless they're going to say Cam Jurgens is on his way back. He's going to be great to have a healthy second half of the year. And Dickerson, I'm not a big Steen guy either, though. They need another lineman. You know what? I'm going to say now that they got BG, my number one priority will bring in a veteran offensive lineman who can run block the way Becton did last year, who can fill that hole way better than the way they filled it so far. And then in the coup de grace, I would cut Brett Toth and I would burn his uniform on the 50-yard line, because that guy is the worst lineman I have ever seen in an Eagles uniform. And let me make this clear. There have been a ton of stiffs. But that guy right there, I honestly think Justin could fly in from Tennessee.
No.
Yes, I believe you look like you're a big guy. I believe you could stop them better than Brett Toth. That doesn't mean you have to stop many. Brett Toth stops nobody, right?
Yeah.
One of them.
Even worse than Winston Justice?
Yes, even worse than Winston Justice. That's how bad he is. Winston Justice was awful, but he was a first-round pick. High up. Brett Toth, there's no reason to keep him. Get rid of him.
Yeah. So before we finish, Ange, one last thing I want to ask you is, how do we lost a lot of players in the off season. We lost Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay went to the Steelers. Isaiah Rodgers was a massive miss, I think, by Howie not bringing him back. Mekhi Becton is with the Chargers. How do you feel about Howie Roseman now in what he's got to do to fix the team in for the second half of the season? Did he make? Obviously, Williams and Sweat would have been tough to bring them back because of the money that they were looking for. Yeah. But the likes of, Mekhi Becton and Isaiah Rodgers, they could have come back. I think they could have found money and a deal somewhere. So did Howie make it, if the season ends and we don't get to the Super Bowl and we go out, in the wild card, say, we don't become the number one seed, will the blame lie with Howie Roseman when everyone is looking back at the end of the year because he didn't bring a couple of key players back for the defense and the O-line?
Well, the blame will start with him for Petullo, because he allowed that to happen. And they should have known better.
Yeah.
So that's going to be bigger than any individual player. But he had a bad off season, Adam, by design, by philosophy. He announced after they won the Super Bowl that he wasn't going to do it the way he did in 2017 because he thought there was too much sentiment attached with bringing all those players back. So he said, no, this year we're gonna lose some, and we might have to rebuild a little here or there, but we're not going to do the same thing we did before. And that pretty much set into motion a bad off season. They had a bad off season. When you're asking a 16-year veteran who's 37, begging him, please come out of retirement, Brandon. We don't have any edge rushers. That's an indictment of your general manager. He blew it. And the fact that you still have Toth there, you have all these other hacks there on the offensive line. When you built 2 championship teams by your offensive line, and then you cheapened it. You're right about Becton. They could have definitely kept Becton. Becton was one of the reasons that Saquon Barkley was so effective running the football. And without him, Barkley is half what he was a year ago. So Howie is the number one reason. But Howie will have to answer to is the philosophy that you were willing to weaken your team rather than, apply to sentiment. And it's like, Howie, you don't get this many rosters this great. When it's this great, add to it. Don't subtract from it. Find a way. If you're going to lose Milton Williams, you bring in the next great guy you can. Proven the whole theme of this conversation we've had, guys, from the Tennessee baseball coach to Patullo to Thompson, bring in people who have done the job and won.
Yeah.
That's they have demonstrated they can do it. When you start to rely on people who haven't done it and think that they will be able to do it, more times than not, you're going to disappoint yourself. There's nothing that's more important than having won a championship and then knowing how to do it. And now we have to rely on the people who did.
Now that you say that, I mean, there's so many instances where the Eagles done that this year. They lost Milton Williams. They were relying on Moro Ojomo. They lost BG and Sweat. They were relying on Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt. They lost Becton. They're relying on Steen. So, yeah, what you said, man, that's hitting the nail on the head. You're relying on guys who really haven't proven it at a consistent basis. And that's big. And something, I don't know if you know this or not, but I saw something a couple of weeks ago. It was before the Vikings game, where they signed Adoree Jackson and two other, I think it was Azeez Ojulari and some other throwaway type player. What they paid those guys, they could have signed Isaiah Rodgers for.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And probably Mekhi Becton as well. They probably could have found a way for him,
Yeah. I mean, that's two players that at big holes that we're looking at right now, corner and offensive line.
Yeah. It's disappointing because of it. Yeah, go on, Ange.
I'm losing you here, Adam. It seems like the Wales connection. That's all. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe did you pay all your bills?
Yeah, the weather is pretty bad here at the moment. It's absolutely. We say in the UK it's pissing down when it's raining. So we say it's pissing down. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. Angelo, thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate you taking your time out your day to come on with us. We've been a big fan of yours for years, and I love your blog that you do every week. I find it really, it's like you said, it's a proper true fans. Like you said, you're a fan now. You can give your true, full opinions, and I love reading it. I listen to your TV podcast with Rhea Hughes and Jay Black. That's always really good and funny as well. So listen to Angelo's podcast and his book Loud. I've read Loud. It was a great book, really funny, and your whole career was it's really fascinating. So thanks Angelo, and obviously just
thank you
Angelo.
Thank you, bud.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Just hopefully we get this win against the Giants this week. I think we will. It's Kelly Green week. The Birds, they never disappoint us in the Kelly Green. So guys, don't disappoint us this Sunday. Let's keep, after last week's game, let's keep the momentum going. Do it for just. It's been a tough week for Big J this week with losing the Tennessee.
It's been rough.
It's been rough. So
it's been rough.
It was do it for Chuck from Mount Airy. Now it's do it for Justin in Tennessee. Yes, sir. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Give us a like, a follow, and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and we'll be back in the next couple of weeks or next week. So thanks everyone. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Love y'all.